Day 2 of our road trip. Today we will be driving from Helen, Georgia to Asheville, North Carolina, and then up through the Blue Ridge Mountain Range, through the Cherokee National Forest, and we will be ending tonight in Harrisburg, Virginia. So first things first, when we woke up in the morning, it was only 36 degrees in the van. So it got really cold overnight, but as we woke up, we got to see the views of the mountain, and then we started our drive that was just maybe about 10 minutes away from the town of Helen, Georgia. So on the way there, we saw that, so we stopped here to take a look as the sun was rising up. So this place is called the Nogachoke Ritual Grounds, and what a delightful way to start the morning. And here's just a little footage as we approach the town of Helen, Georgia. And a few minutes later, as we get a little closer to the town, we get to see a taste of what we're in for. And by this point, we are almost into the town. Look at this place, all of the architecture and all of the character. And even though it's only more like a small village rather than a town, they keep the consistency of what it's modeled after throughout the whole entire place. Now, by this point, we're getting hungry. We did get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning because it was so darn cold in the van, we just had to get out. So we're going to find some place to have breakfast. So it was still before 7 a.m. and most of the places that we had looked at online that we wanted to go eat at were closed. So we ended up eating at a Huddle House. And here we are leaving the Huddle House, and now let's go ahead and take a nice little drive through the town. And I just want to say a quick little thanks to Carol and Julie for going to this place already and telling Casey about it. And he remembered it, and it just happened to be on our route, and I'm really glad we got to spend the morning here. And although the town was charming and we wish we could have stayed longer, we have a lot of driving ahead. So we're going to stop off right here at this park quickly before we head out for the day and just let the dogs out and everything. And then we're going to make our way to our next destination. So driving out of the town of Helen, we're going to see a sign up here over the highway that says Forest Service burn ban in effect. Now, the night before, I had just checked on my phone for what the weather in the area was going to be, and the weather report was for smoke. So I really didn't know what that meant. In a couple of moments here, as you'll see we're driving, there is going to be a lot of what seems to be fog. And actually, it turned out to be exactly that. It's smoke. So all the fire and the forests in the area were just hanging so heavy in the air. And for at least a half hour or even more of our drive, every place we went was just filled with this low-hanging smoke, and the air and atmosphere was just saturated with the smell of smoke.
But crooked wisdom kept sharing her shadow around, and I could fall asleep like a mommy with these stars, but I still get restless, keeping my eyes on her night sky pets.
And in this next clip, as the sun is rising, you can really see how dense the smoke is.
It's not a bad joke to talk to her, it's more I must do think.
We really enjoyed the drive. It was so beautiful and all the different highs and lows and valleys and trees, and we had no idea we'd get to see fall foliages on this trip, which we did, and it was a spectacular drive. And it's sometimes hard and fun and challenging to take photos and videos from the window of a moving vehicle. You'll see reflections and sunspots, and some of the pictures were just bad because it was all reflection. But here's just a little photo collage of some of the pretty sights and views that we got to see along this road. Here at this lake, we actually decided to pull off the road and get out and walk down the bank and take some pictures. Just the way everything with the fog and the smoke and the foliage and the reflections and the colors and the light of the morning were just making the atmosphere look so pretty. It was so breathtaking, and I'm sure my pictures really don't do it that much justice, but we enjoyed it, and we are glad that we got to see it. And now, an hour or two later, we are at a pullover on a highway in the Cherokee National Forest. So this is just panning around with the videotape from a viewing platform that we hiked up to. And again, it's just beautiful. I've never been to places like this, really, and it just spending an hour here was not nearly enough. Hopefully, some point in our travels we'll get to come back and indulge in spending more time in these types of places. But it was a great opportunity to at least experience them in a small amount. And since we had to go back up to Connecticut, we've already driven the coast. It was really, really a nice opportunity to get to see some different scenery. And here's a second photo collage, all taken from that same area. And now we're going to be pulling into Asheville, North Carolina. We stopped there briefly to have some lunch at a brewery called The Wicked Weed, and here's just two little pictures from that. And with the sunset upon us and a few more hours of driving ahead in the dark to get us to our next overnight destination, yet another Walmart parking lot. It was the supermoon, and the moon was hanging really low and large in the sky. There's nothing here for perspective, and I was driving while I was trying to take this, so it's not a great shot, but it was a nice way to close out day 2 of our trip. And up next will be part 3 of this 3-part series, where we travel from Harrisburg, Virginia, where we're leaving off today, to Stamford, Connecticut.